All right, I wanted to make a tutorial to go over this outline for an essay. I'm going to get us started with like a draft outline, just to get some ideas down. But before I do that, let me open up the prompt. So let me pause this so I can open the prompt. Let me share my screen and show you where it is. Where's that oh, I don't want that. Where's my, I just had, no, not my, okay, that's right. Okay, let me try that again. So let me share my screen so I can show you where it is. There's our class. I'm viewing as a student. So we have the annotated bibliography prompt. I'm about to hide those. And then here's your advertisement argument essay prompt. So let's open that. So this is what we're jumping into, right? There's some pictures from the Super Bowl commercials because that's really what we are talking about. We are talking about a commercial. And so it says below here, this is what all of them say. This is what just the class in general. And then we come down here and it talks about music, videos, songs, television shows. They all relate to our identities. They reflect our lives. However, so do commercials, as they typically employ societal issues and real life scenarios to sell their products. They incorporate stories, actors, and pop culture. Before I keep on going, we had a Memoir Monday today in class, and I'm going to upload an idea in just a moment. Our idea was just tell me a story that nobody else would care about, right? And so I'll go to that here in just a moment, or that text message and that you cherish that no one else would care about, or that phone call, that um moment that nobody else really would cherish nearly as much as you do. And so, as I'm thinking about these real life scenarios, I had a particular student just last hour who talked about seeing an ex-boyfriend at a restaurant and how she wanted to leave and how she thought that her story was so silly, but she cared about it and nobody else would. And think about commercials who use scenarios just like that. Think about, commercials who use, just these little typical things that we go through every single day because they know that we care about these little things that no one else would care about, right? So don't think that your story is insignificant or silly. Mine was about snow ice cream, my dad making his daughters and not. Anyway, you can read over mine and I'll do that at the end. But my story was just kind of simple about my dad waking us up in the middle of the night to make us snow ice cream. And anyway, so it says commercials incorporate stories, they incorporate actors, they incorporate pop culture, they incorporate the ideas that we care about, but they typically do it to sell their product. Right? They typically do it to sell their product. And what we want to do in this commercial is just talk about, well, how? What did they use to sell that product? So I'm going to open up the example outline here in just a moment. And again, I just want us to do some pre-write ideas to get us into to do some pre-write ideas to get us into before the outline. We'll start really outlining in an outline worksheet a little bit before the end of this week. I'll make another outline video where I'll give you an example outline that you can download and write in, or you can delete the lines and write yours into these boxes or whatever. And so I'll make it really as easy as I can for you to outline an essay on your own. All right, so let's jump straight into actually, let me keep on reading. We'll jump straight into the example here in just a moment. All right. So for this essay, we want to form arguments on how and why commercials exploit or build up our identities by comparing a commercial to a music video. All we're doing is talking about what does a commercial use to get me to sell their product. They use my emotions, they use music, anyway, we'll get to that example outline here in just a moment. This is a compare and contrast argument where we analyze music and advertisements, and you compare these ideas, characters, theme, plots, ideals, and sensory details in both media to your own experience, right? So we're bringing ourselves into it. Anyway, so we'll get into that here in just a moment. It also has an MLA assignment in it. I'll make a completely different video. Don't worry about that just yet. Please get your ideas down first. So it will be at least 3 pages whenever we're done with it, 3 to 4 pages. So at least 3 pages whenever we're done. And if you're scared about making it a 3, don't. We're going to walk through how to expand our ideas, how to develop those ideas, and we'll make sure that we all get there, right? And it's not even due till April 7th. So we have an entire month to work on it. So we're going to be outlining, pre-writing, drafting, peer reviewing, revision checklist, and then the essay isn't even due for another month till April 7th. All right, so stupid table split. I hate whenever table splits and things like that. So there's some learning criteria, and then of course the questions and notes. That's for my in-person class. But it is worth 400 points, I think. Yeah, all the pre-writes are worth 100. The essay itself is worth 200, and then the MLA part is worth 100. So we're going to do all that together. None of this is going to be on your own. All right, we're going to do it all together. Here's an outline. This is exactly what we're about to go into, is an outline, an example outline. And then here is the MLA rubric of things that I want to look at. But don't worry about that because that's a completely different discussion, and we're going to dive into that later. All right, so just think about those. We used it's exactly what you talked about in your annotated bibliography. Do not go find new commercials. Don't go find new music videos. We were going from the annotated bibliography to the essay. So you should have already found your sources, hopefully. All right, so let me open up an example outline. What are we talking about here? I would also like to go into brainstorming and whatnot too. So let me pause. All right, so we're going to look at the example outline, and then we'll kind of back up to the brainstorm and whatnot, because the brainstorm isn't really about that one. Let me look up example number 2, example in tutorial. There we go. So here's the example outline that I called it example in the tutorial. All right, so we have, give me a second. Drive me crazy. All right, sorry, I still have the intro from Comp 2 because I just used the same picture. All right, there we go. Example outline and tutorial. So we have our thesis statement, right? The use of emotion and emotional storytelling and stubborn love in the extra gum commercial. Through imagery, relationships, and music. They elicit pathos that connect its viewers with experience of love and heartbreak. So we have this 3-point thesis statement. These are our 3 points that we are going to use, right? I'll bold that. I'm going to upload this new one here in just a moment. Thankfully, I only uploaded it to one class. But they, through imagery, relationships, and music. And we see imagery. So point 1 is imagery. Point 2 is relationships. And point 3 is music. So as we are writing our essay, we create this 3-point thesis statement that goes at the bottom of our introduction. Right, so we create this 3-point thesis. You don't really have to worry about the thesis just yet. Just worry about, well, what ideas do I want to talk about in this essay? Right, so this student's talking about, really we're just asking, what does the commercial use to get me to buy their product? The commercial uses imagery. The commercial uses relationships. The commercial uses music. Right? Those are the 3 ideas that we're using. What does the commercial use to get me to buy their product? Right? Or how is the commercial and the music video the same? The commercial and the music video both have imagery. The commercial and the music video both use relationships. The commercial and the music video both use music, both use emotion, right? And so those are the 3 points here. And then our conclusion, we just sum up our story. I said, bring your story back. And that has to do when we get into the main outline where we bring ourselves into this, right? We're going to bring ourselves into this, which correlates with our Memoir Monday today. And so sum up your points. Both Stubborn Love by the Lumineers and the Extra Gum commercial effectively use emotional storytelling techniques in their imagery, relationships, and music. So they just started by restating that thesis statement, which is what we're going to do, right? We're going to restate that thesis statement. So if you come down here, here is their bigger outline. So this is the outline we're going to get into first, right? This is the outline that we're going to get into first. This is the kind of rough outline where we look at, excuse me, how am I going to introduce this essay? Then I'm going to describe my commercial. They use this extra gum commercial. My point 1, I'm going to talk about the imagery and the imagery that they use in the commercial. How is it effective? Why did they choose this imagery? How do I relate to this imagery? How is this imagery like the music video? Then I'm going to go into point 2. You can see if I'm answering all those questions, I'm going to have a longer essay. Number 2, relationships, that relationship between a father and a child. We bring in the identity source. So it's my 3rd source. So we can bring in that as I talked about before, well, no, as I'm going to talk about in my memoir Monday, my father raised me, and so uh, my father raised me and not my mother, and so I would talk about that in my identity source. Children raised by their father, right? And so I'm going to bring my identity source and apply my identity source here. And then point three is music. You don't have to worry about any of that today. I mean, really just come up with this type of outline before. I mean, even in the introduction, you can just put, well, a thesis is good. Anyway, theirs is really high end. This is a really good example. But anyway, so just come up with what 3 points do I want to talk about? What 3 points? How can I narrow down what three main ideas stick out from the commercial? So as I'm watching this commercial, what are the three ideas that stick out from this commercial? And we will have a discussion for that here. Today is Memoir Monday, and then by Wednesday or so, we're going to do the discussion, the discussion for it. So watch for that. The discussion correlates with this outline also. This is something you're working on all week long. So focus on, what do I see in here and then in our Memoir Monday. All right, so for our Memoir Monday, let's move on over. We'll stop sharing that. For our Memoir Monday today, I can just do it as I talk. For our Memoir Monday today, I don't really want to get into that. That's a lot of information. We're not going to get into that. All right, so for our Memoir Monday today, we are going to get into a memoir for today. So I got to stop sharing as a student, stop viewing as a student and view as an instructor. I'm going to put on your memoir. I'm going to open these back up and close those. All right, make visible. So opened up, I made the gift of voice visible again so you can look at that. My gift of voice definition should be able to see that. All right, I'm going to open up the memoir discussion board again, make visible to users. And so my memoir discussion for today, there's my January 20th. I'm going to write my example real quick and then I'll show it to us. All right, so I finished my memoir and it's called, I gotta share my screen. I'm scrolling down to it, share. There we go, discussion list. So open the gift of voice back up to talk about, that gift of voice. But if you scroll down, we go to the memoir discussion board, and then I have my March 3rd, a cherished story text phone call. Now in my journal, I would put, I also made snow ice cream for my own children and it wasn't at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I also made snow ice cream for my children. And I would put a recipe for snow ice cream. I had to Google it because there wasn't anybody to ask. I wish I had my father's recipe, but that's okay. Google gave me a good recipe. But anyway, I would put a recipe to snow ice cream, a picture of my children eating snow ice cream. But here's my story, and maybe a cherished story, a text, phone call, because I want to get into, whenever we write the essay, I want to get into bringing ourselves into the essay, right? I want to get into, and so if I'm going to write about the Lumineers commercial and that extra gum commercial, I'm going to bring a story like this in, right? That here's my story and their little origami, that's their story. But this is what they use to sell their product. This is the idea that they use to sell their product that extra gum commercial uses. So there's my cherished story, phone call, text message. So for your Match 3rd. Let's see. Oh, I'm viewing as a student. I'll change that to March 3rd, not Match 3rd. But anyway, so for this Memoir Monday, maybe tell me like a story that nobody else really would care about, or that text message that we know that was really meant a lot to you when someone texts you or sent you that text message, that phone call, or reached out to you in some way to say, hey, keep going. Just something that nobody else would care about that you cherish. What is something that only you cherish? Because that's going to help you tremendously going into this essay. So focus on a Memoir Monday, and then we'll go up to content here. Focus on a Memoir Monday, and then we'll go to content. We're going to go down to block 3, advertisement argument, our So this week we're going to look at this outline worksheet. We can look at brainstorming, clustering, listening, all that later, but look at this outline worksheets. Look at these outline worksheets. We're going to do the discussion board on Wednesday, so we don't have to worry about that's when we're going to do them in class. And so we're going to do them in the middle of the week. So look at the outline worksheet and then look over at the discussion board whenever I have it ready to go. Look at the prompt. Here's this tutorial, but mostly that Memoir Monday. So today, focus on the Memoir Monday and outline worksheets and the tutorial that I'm making. All right. And then as we go, here's some example outlines through here. Here's the outline and the tutorial. It's all under this week, March 8th. Week 8, March 3 through 7. You'll find these example outlines. All right. So let me know if you have any questions, but just take a look do the Memoir Monday and take a look at the example outline.